Want to speak real Russian from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at RussianPod101.com.
Здравствуйте, я Светлана. Welcome to RussianPod101.com's Alphabet Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Russian Cyrillic alphabet, the alphabet. Over the next 20 lessons, you learn everything there is about the reading and writing of the Russian language. By the end, you'll be ready to dive into the world of Russian literature, make your way through Russian cities, and really accelerate your Russian study. Ready to start? Then let's go! The Russian alphabet contains 33 letters. Seeing them laid out like this might seem intimidating, but the trick is to take it step by step, character by character. Don't worry about how hard it looks now. Just stick with me, and in a few short lessons, you'll see how easy it actually is. I have some really good news for you. Russian is largely phonetic. This means words are actually pronounced exactly like they're written. Also, if you look at all the characters, you will notice that many are exactly the same as English letters. We'll use this similarity to English to tackle the Russian writing system. Let's separate the letters into 4 types. True friends. They look nice and they are nice. These are letters which look and sound just like English letters. False friends. They look nice, but don't be fooled. These look like English letters you're familiar with, but sound different. New friends. They might look scary, but you'll warm up to them easily. These are letters you haven't seen before, but they have familiar sounds. Strangers. These will be the tricky ones. They look different from anything you've seen before and don't have similar sounds to English either. We'll start nice and easy with some true friends. So let's begin. We'll start at the beginning. Ah. So what sound does this letter make? That's easy, because the name of the letter almost always describes the sound that the letter makes. So it's pronounced ah. That's why this is a true friend. It looks like an English A and it sounds like an English A. What you see here are the printed forms. This is what you'll see on signs, newspapers, and anywhere that the letters are printed mechanically. As you can see, both the versions of A look the same as A in English. Now it's time to take out your pencils. We are going to practice writing. Find some paper and follow along. Even though it is rare to see the printed version of Russian handwritten, you'll practice writing them so you can get used to the shapes. Okay, here we go. Here is the uppercase. And here's the lowercase. Nice. Time for the next letter? Not yet. You just saw the printed version of A. However, when writing by hand, Russians use cursive letters exclusively. This is the way Russians learn to write ever since elementary school. Even though you practice writing in the print style, it's very rare to see that in the real world. When you write Russian, it's going to be in the cursive style. The cursive uppercase A looks like this. While sometimes there is a big difference between the printed and cursive letters, R is pretty straightforward. It's one long stroke and then a short one in the middle. Now here's the lowercase handwritten A. This is very easy too. It's similar to the cursive A in English, and it's also very easy to connect to the next letter. Now it's your turn. Here's the uppercase. And the lowercase. That's it for A. Let's keep moving. The second letter we'll learn is another true friend, K. That means it's just like the English K. It always makes the K sound. In the printed forms, the only difference between upper and lowercase is the size. It's writing time. First, the printed versions. Here's the uppercase. And the lowercase. As for the handwritten version, the uppercase is quite similar to the printed letter, but different from the English cursive style. The lowercase is identical except for the size. Now let's write the cursive versions. Here's the uppercase. That means that we have to pick up our pen or pencil after writing the first stroke, and then connect ka to the next letter with the second stroke. The lowercase version is the same. Great! You already learned 2 letters of the Russian alphabet. That means you're ready for your first Russian word. First, look at the printed version and try sounding it out. Did you read как? Well, you're right. This is how to write the word for how in Russian. Believe me, it's a lot better to learn new words in the original Russian, rather than relying on Roman letters. This will be the first of many new words for you. Now the fun part. We'll write it by hand. For words, I'll just do it in the cursive style. Congratulations! You just written your first Russian word. Now it's time for Svetlana's insights. Practice writing these letters and words until you don't even have to think about it. There is no better way to learn than to write the letters yourself. It's a good idea to keep a notebook with the new letters and words we learn in each lesson. Have you ever heard the Russian phrase "Кто там?" In the next Alphavit Made Easy lesson, you'll learn what it means and most of all, how to write it. See you there! Пока-пока! Здравствуйте! Я Светлана. Welcome to RussianPod101.com's Alphavit Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Russian Cyrillic alphabet, the alphabet. In the last lesson, we learned 2 letters, A and Ka. These letters are true friends, meaning that they look and sound like their English counterparts. In this lesson, we'll continue our study of the Russian alphabet by learning the 3 remaining true friends. Ready to go? Well then, let's get started. In this lesson, we'll learn these 3 letters. Because these are true friends, we know that they are going to look and sound like English letters. Our first true friend of the lesson is M. And yep, it makes an M sound. While some Russian letters do change their sound, M is always pronounced this way. Notice how the upper and lowercase printed versions are identical except for the size, unlike the English M. As we mentioned in the last lesson, you will see the print form on menus, packages, and maps, so you better learn to read them. Let's write them now. Remember, we are writing the printed forms just for practice. You won't see the printed forms written like this in Russian. Here's the uppercase. And the lowercase. Now that we've seen the printed forms of M, let's take a look at how to write it by hand. The cursive uppercase M looks like this. It's much sharper than the English cursive, but very easy to write. Lowercase m is exactly the same as uppercase, but just a little smaller. Also, when lowercase m comes after another letter, we add a small hook on the left. We'll cover it more when we practice writing some full words. Now we'll write them. Uppercase M is a single stroke, so you can connect easily to the next letter without lifting your pen or pencil. That's all there is to M. Let's move on. The second letter you learn in this lesson is another true friend, O. As you can guess, Russian O is the same as English O, and in printed form it's almost identical. It is usually pronounced as O. Sometimes it sounds like A. In later lessons, I'll tell you more about when and why the pronunciation changes. Here's how to write the printed versions. And the lowercase. It's cursive time. If you know how to write a cursive O in English, this shouldn't be a problem for you. O is a single stroke, so you can connect easily to the next letter without lifting your pen or pencil. As for the lowercase o, it's exactly the same but slightly smaller. Both the lower and uppercase versions connect to the next letter from the bottom. Now let's finish up this lesson with our very last true friend, O. Our final true friend is the letter T. The Russian T acts just like the T in English. In the printed version, both the upper and lowercase letters look like uppercase English T's, but with the different sizes. Here's how to write the printed versions. And the lowercase. As for the cursive versions, this one is a bit more difficult. The uppercase version looks like this. As you can see, it's not similar to the printed form or English cursive styles. If you thought uppercase was difficult, well, sorry, lowercase t is no easier. It looks a lot like a handwritten English M. If you get confused between the handwritten T and M in Russian, just remember that M is pointy and sharp, like mountains. Once you practice writing these a few times, they won't seem so difficult. T consists of 4 separate strokes, and you pick up your pen before writing the next letter. And the lowercase. Okay, well done! I think you're ready to learn some new words. Can you read it? It's pronounced tam. This is the word for there in Russian. Now let's practice writing it. We'll start with the T, move smoothly into the A, and then finish it off with that mountainous M. Remember how I said that M gets a little hook when it follows another letter? Well, here it is. Why do we have it? Many Russian cursive letters look similar, so we have to use a hook before M to show that we are writing a new letter. Getting tired yet? I think you can handle another new word. Can you read it? It's pronounced kto. You just learned the word for who in Russian. Time to write it. Let's start out with a ka, transition to a nice rounded T, and finish it up with o. Let's take it one step further. We are going to combine the last 2 words and write a very useful phrase, kto tam. It means who's there? You can use it when somebody knocks on your door. Start with kto, except with a capital K this time. Now follow it up with tam. Don't forget the hook. And of course, we'll end the question with a question mark. It's done. Now it's time for Svetlana's insights. Be sure to add kto and tam to your notebook. We'll add new words in every lesson, and by the end of the series, you will have a very useful collection of words that you wrote yourself. Well, we met the last of our true friends today, and that means we'll be entering some slightly more sinister waters in the next lesson. But it also means you will be able to expand your vocabulary with more words, including the Russian word for no. We'll learn that and much more in the next lesson of RussianPod101.com's Alphabet Made Easy. Пока-пока! Здравствуйте! Я Светлана. Welcome to RussianPod101.com's Alphabet Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Russian Cyrillic alphabet, the alphabet. In the first two lessons, we covered the true friends in the Russian alphabet. Now we are going to take a look at some slightly more difficult Russian letters, the false friends. While true friends look and sound like their English counterparts, false friends look like English letters but sound completely different. Ready to go? Let's get started. In this lesson, we'll learn how to read and write two false friends in both printed and cursive forms. Our first letter is Y. You really want this letter to make an E sound, don't you? Even the upper and lower cases are the same as the English. This letter, however, sounds like Y and sometimes E. In later lessons, we'll tell you more about when and why the pronunciation changes. While Y is a false friend, at least it's not trying to deceive you too much. Here's the uppercase and the lowercase. Now let's take a look at how to write it in cursive. The cursive version of uppercase Y looks like this. It's nearly identical to the English cursive and easy to write. Y is a single stroke, so you can continue with the next letter after the uppercase without lifting your pen or pencil. Now let's take a look at the lowercase handwritten Y. Again, it's similar to the English cursive, but in Russian, their starting point isn't from the bottom. Now we'll write them. And the lowercase. For both the upper and lowercase versions, it's easy to connect to the next letter. The second false friend we'll learn in this lesson is N. As you can see, it looks exactly like an English H. But of course it doesn't sound like one. It's actually pronounced like the English N. You could always rotate the middle line in your head to make them into N's. Here's how to write the printed versions. And the lowercase. Now let's take a look at how to write N in cursive. The uppercase version looks like this. As you can see, the cursive version of N is very different from the printed version and is written in a single stroke that ends at the bottom rather than the top. As for the lowercase, it's a little bit different. Handwriting time. And the lowercase. That's all for new letters in this lesson. So let's practice writing these letters in some new words. First up is something you'll need to use every day, and probably already know. Try sounding it out. Did you guess нет? If so, great job! You may have already known this word before you watched this lesson, but I'll bet you haven't written it before, so let's do it now. Let's make this an exclamation. Нет. So we'll start with an uppercase N, followed by a lowercase y and t. Then we'll polish it off with an exclamation point. Нет. Are you ready to stop? Нет? I knew it. We'll learn two more words that are very important and that you will hear all the time. Try reading them out loud. Did you say on? Great. What about она? Probably not, huh? Here you can hear how O can be pronounced as both O and A. Again, we'll talk later about why this happens. On is the male personal pronoun, the Russian equivalent of he, and она is the word for she. Pretty useful. Now let's try writing them. Let's start on with a nice O and transition smoothly into the N. Great! Now let's write она. Start with the O again, then make a beautiful N and finish it out with an A. Nice work! Now it's time for Svetlana's insights. You may notice that there are some pretty big differences between Russian and English cursive styles. Russian cursive is much more common and more complicated. But it's fun, and you'll really be able to impress your Russian friends with your beautiful penmanship. One structural difference between Russian and English cursive styles is their starting and ending points of letters. In English, letters usually start from the bottom of the writing line. But in Russian, all lowercase letters start slightly above the line. This gives the Russian script a much different look and is part of the reason that some letters have hooks. Well, that's all for this lesson. We'll continue next time with a few more false friends. We'll learn some very useful letters to write common words like and in Russian. We'll learn that and much more in the next Alphavit Made Easy lesson. Пока-пока! Здравствуйте! Я Светлана. Welcome to RussianPod101.com's Alphavit Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Russian Cyrillic alphabet, the alphabet. In the previous lesson, we introduced our first group of false friends, Russian letters that look like letters of the English alphabet but have completely different sounds. The first false friends that we learned were ye and n. Do you remember how to write them? What about the true friends from the first two lessons? Make sure that you feel confident about the characters from past lessons before moving on. In this lesson, we'll continue by learning two more false friends. After that, we'll learn a few more words to add to your notebook. Ready? Let's go! Our first letter is V. It looks identical to the English uppercase B, right? But the Russian V, as you have probably guessed, does not sound like B at all. It sounds like the English V, but a little bit harder. Listen to the pronunciation carefully. V. This letter is almost always pronounced in this way, but it can sometimes sound like a F when it comes at the end of the word. Here's the uppercase. And the lowercase. The cursive uppercase V looks like this. It's nearly identical to the cursive B in English and should be easy to write. V is a single stroke, so you can easily connect it to the next letter after the uppercase without lifting your pen or pencil. Again, the lowercase v is similar to the English cursive, but the Russian V has a larger upper loop than the English B. Remember that in Russian, the starting point isn't from the bottom of the line. Now we'll write them. And the lowercase. The second letter we'll learn in this lesson is another you'll recognize by sight, R. As you can see, it looks exactly like the English P, except that it doesn't dip beneath the line as far as the lowercase p in English. This letter is difficult to pronounce for some native English speakers. It's like the Spanish R, but not quite as continuous. R. Here's how to write the printed versions. And the lowercase. Now let's take a look at how to write R in cursive. The uppercase version looks like this. As you can see, the cursive version of R is quite different than in English, and is written in 2 strokes. Please note that the lowercase r does not make a closed circle the same way as a lowercase cursive p in English. Handwriting time. And the lowercase. We'll continue learning more letters next time, but for now, let's practice using these letters in some new words. First up is a word that uses both of our new letters. Try reading it aloud. Did you say Venera? If you didn't, that's okay. Here we can see how ye can be pronounced as either e or ye. Venera is a Russian name for the planet Venus, and it's also a girl's name. Now try writing it. Let's start with an uppercase V. Venera. Great job! Now let's try writing a sentence. We'll combine a word from the previous lesson with a new word to make a sentence that hopefully you will never need to use. Try reading it. Hopefully you read on vor. This means he's a thief in Russian. If someone snatches your purse or steals your wallet, you'll be glad you learned this sentence. Now let's try writing it by hand. Since it's a sentence, we'll start out with an uppercase O. On vor. Make sure that your connections are smooth and fluid. Now it's time for Svetlana's insights. Your handwriting is like a signature, and no two people's are the same. When you see actual Russian handwriting, you may notice that sometimes people write letters in different ways. You'll notice a lot of people don't connect letters properly to the next one. Other people mix print-style letters with cursive letters. However, if you learn cursive properly, you will certainly impress your Russian friends and be able to understand almost anyone's handwriting. Good luck! That's it for this lesson. Today you moved from writing single words into sentences. In the next Alphavit Made Easy lesson, we'll be back to meet the last of our false friends, and then it's on to uncharted territory. Пока-пока! Здравствуйте! Я Светлана. Welcome to RussianPod101.com. Alphavit Made Easy. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Russian Cyrillic alphabet, the alphabet. In the previous lesson, we continued introducing some false friends. Russian letters that look like letters of the English alphabet but sound completely different. We've already learned several, but do you remember how to read and write them? Taking the time to review the lessons will be the key to learning how to write in Russian. In this lesson, we'll finish up with our false friends. Then we'll learn a few more words for you to add to your notebook. Ready to learn? Then let's go! Our first letter is S. It looks identical to the English upper and lowercase c, right? Of course, the Russian S does not sound like the English C, although I guess sometimes it does. I mean, the English C can sometimes make an S sound, so it's kind of like a mostly false friend, right? Here's the uppercase. And the lowercase. The cursive uppercase S looks like this. It's similar to the English cursive C, but thankfully it's a bit simpler than most Russian letters. Uppercase S is a single stroke which connects easily to the next letter without lifting your pen or pencil. As for the lowercase s, it's identical to the uppercase except for its size. Now we'll write them. And the lowercase. The second letter we'll learn in this lesson looks pretty familiar. U. As you can see, it looks similar to an English Y, with just small differences. Of course, it doesn't sound like Y at all, but at least it's easy to pronounce. U makes an U sound 100% of the time. Here's how to write the printed versions. And the lowercase. Now let's take a look at how to write U in cursive. The uppercase version looks like this. As you can see, the cursive version of U looks similar to the English Y. It's written in a single stroke and connects easily to the next letter. While the uppercase version does not dip below the line, the lowercase version does. Now it's time to write it. And the lowercase. Let's learn one more letter. The third letter we learn in this lesson should look pretty familiar too. Ha. As you can see, it looks identical to the English X, but of course it doesn't sound like X. Actually, this will be a new sound for most English speakers. Ha makes a harder H sound, H. Ha makes this sound 100% of the time. Here's how to write the printed versions. And the lowercase. As you can see, the cursive version of Ha is not at all similar to the cursive version of the English X. It's written in two strokes and connects easily to the next letter. Lowercase Ha looks exactly like the uppercase version, but just a little smaller. Let's write it. And the lowercase. And that's all! Wow! Great job today! We finally met the last of our false friends. We'll continue learning more letters in the next lesson. But for now, let's practice using these letters in some new words. First up is a word that uses two of our new letters. Try reading it aloud. It should be easy. It's pronounced сахар and means sugar. Russians love tea with sugar, so you'll see this word a lot. Now let's try writing it. We'll use lowercase letters. Сахар. Now let's try writing two sentences. As you know from a previous lesson, on means he. Turk means Turk, as in someone from Turkey. So the first sentence means he is Turkish. In the second sentence, we see есть, which is an important word meaning eats. And halva is a popular sweet in Russia, originally from the Middle East. In English, it's called halva. The second sentence means he is eating halva. Now let's try to write it. We'll start each sentence properly with an uppercase letter. Он турок. Он ест халву. Now it's time for Svetlana's insights. You probably realized this, but the order we are learning the alphabet is not actually the correct order. We're using this order because it's easier to learn. But just be aware that it's not the way Russian children learn it, or how a Russian would recite the alphabet. In the next Alphabet Made Easy lesson, we'll be introducing some interesting new letters that are going to be completely unfamiliar to you. Are you excited yet? Пока-пока! Здравствуйте! Я Светлана. Welcome to RussianPod101.com's Alphabet Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Russian Cyrillic alphabet, the alphabet. In the last lesson, we met the last of our false friends, the Russian letters that look like letters of the English alphabet but sound different. I hope you remember how to read and write them all. If you've been practicing, I'm sure you're doing a great job. In this lesson, we'll learn a new category of Russian letters, new friends. New friends are letters that don't look like English letters but have sounds that can be found in English. That means that they should all be very easy to pronounce. Ready to learn? Then let's go! Our first new friend is B. This is the first truly new-looking letter for English speakers. Although it looks new, it should sound quite familiar. B is pronounced just like the English B. As you can see though, the upper and lower case look very different. Here's the uppercase. And the lowercase. The cursive uppercase B looks like this. It has two strokes and continues to the next letter after the lower stroke. The lowercase is quite different from the uppercase, and you have to lift your pen at the end. This makes lowercase B the only letter which does not connect smoothly to the following letter. Now we'll write them. And the lowercase. Let's move on to another new friend. The second letter in this lesson looks like a rotated uppercase L in English. G. While it may look strange, G has a pretty familiar sound. G functions in the same way as the English G, and almost always makes a hard G sound. Sometimes it can sound like V, but only in rare cases. Here's how to write the printed versions. And the lowercase. Now let's take a look at how to write G in cursive. The uppercase version looks like this. As you can see, the cursive version of G looks kind of like the uppercase T in English. It's written in two strokes and connects to the next letter by swinging back around. Now let's take a look at the lowercase cursive G. Lowercase G is a lot trickier because it looks nothing like the printed version. On its own, it's written like this, but when connected to the preceding letter, it looks a lot more natural. Handwriting time. And the lowercase. That's it for our new friends today. We'll continue learning more letters next lesson. But for now, let's practice using these letters in some new words. First up is a word that uses both of our new letters. Try reading it aloud. I hope you could successfully read this as Bog. It's a very important word for many Russian people. It means God. Let's write it. Bog. Next is a somewhat funny phrase with two grammatically correct sentences. We already know some of these words. Hopefully remember that on and jest mean he and its. Begemot is similar to the English word behemoth, but in Russian it also means hippopotamus. Travу means grass. So these sentences can be translated as it's a hippopotamus, it's eating grass. Now that we understand it, let's try writing it by hand. Он бегемот. Он ест траву. Let's start with an uppercase O. Also remember that lowercase b does not connect directly to the next letter. Be careful not to confuse the lowercase m and t. Give it your best shot. Now it's time for Svetlana's insights. Are you familiar with Greek letters? Maybe you remember them from high school or college. If so, you've probably recognized a great deal of these Russian letters. The Cyrillic alphabet was originally derived from Greek letters, so many of them bear close resemblance even today. That just about wraps it up for this lesson. Next time I'll introduce some more new friends. I hope you're excited. See you in the next Alphavit Made Easy lesson. Пока-пока! Здравствуйте! Я Светлана. Welcome to RussianPod101.com. Alphavit Made Easy. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Russian Cyrillic alphabet, the alphabet. In the last lesson, we met several new friends and started using B and G. If you're watching this lesson, that means you're feeling comfortable with those and ready for a new challenge. In this lesson, we'll continue with a new friends category. Remember, these are letters that don't look like English letters, but have sounds that can be found in English. Our first new friend is D. Maybe you recognize this letter from a James Bond movie, or maybe you've seen da spelled out before. If you have, you probably realize that D is pronounced just like the English D. In printed form, size is the only difference between the uppercase and lowercase letters. Here's the uppercase. And the lowercase. Now we'll look at the cursive versions. English speakers will be happy to see that the cursive uppercase D looks pretty similar to an uppercase D. What a nice new friend! While it's written in a slightly different way, it should be easy to recognize. It's written in one stroke and you have to pick up your pen to begin the next letter. Unfortunately, D isn't such a nice friend when it comes to the lowercase. It looks just like a lowercase English G. This means you should have no problem writing it, but it's easy to accidentally read it as a G. Now we'll write them. And the lowercase. Let's move on to another new friend. The second letter we'll learn in this lesson looks like the number 3. Z. While it may look strange, Z has a pretty familiar sound. Z always makes a Z sound, and despite how it looks, it sounds exactly like the English Z. Here's how to write the printed versions. And the lowercase. Now let's take a look at how to write Z by hand. Uppercase Z is pretty similar to the printed version. It's one stroke, but we have to pick up our pen before moving on to the next letter. The lowercase is where it gets interesting. Remember learning cursive in elementary school? If you remember how to write the lowercase z, then you'll be happy to see the cursive Z is strikingly similar. Now it's time to write it. And the lowercase. Okay, that's it for our new friends in this lesson. Now it's time to bring everything together in order to write some new words. First up is a very common word that you'll use when talking about your plans. Can you read it by yourself? It's завтра. You're forgiven if you said zamra. The cursive T looks a lot like an English M. Now try to write it yourself. Завтра. The next word is a fun one. Let's see if you can read it. Did you read it as Дед Мороз? It can be tricky to know when O is O and when it's A, but we'll talk more about that in a later lesson. Дед Мороз is the Russian Santa Claus. So let's try writing it. Both Дед and Мороз should start with uppercase letters. Дед Мороз. Remember that after the uppercase D, you have to pick up your pen to start the next letter. M, on the other hand, connects easily to the next letter. Nice job! Now it's time for Svetlana's insights. You may have noticed that some uppercase letters like D don't seem to be connecting very well. This happens with many uppercase letters in Russian. In these situations, you have the choice of either letting the letter stand alone and starting from the next lowercase letter, or adding a little connecting tail to the uppercase letter. However, when writing, most people don't connect D, V, and other difficult to connect uppercase letters. That's it for this lesson. Next time we'll continue to introduce more new friends. See you in the next Alphavit Made Easy lesson. Пока-пока! Здравствуйте! Я Светлана. Welcome to RussianPod101.com. Alphavit Made Easy. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Russian Cyrillic alphabet, the alphabet. In the last lesson, we met two more new friends, D and Z. I hope you remember how to read and write them. In this lesson, we'll continue with the new friends category. Our first new friend is E. Because it's just a backwards English N, E really isn't that scary. As its name implies, E is pronounced just like the hard English E. In printed form, size is the only difference between the upper and lowercase versions. Here's the uppercase. And the lowercase. E isn't such a nice friend when it comes to the cursive letter. It looks similar to the cursive English U, and not very much like the printed version. With a little practice, you shouldn't have as much trouble recognizing and writing it. It is written in one stroke and connects easily to the next letter. Again, the lowercase version looks similar to an English U, so hopefully this means it should be easy to write. Just remember that in Russian, a Y-looking letter sounds like U, and a U-looking letter sounds like E. Now we'll write them. And the lowercase. Let's move on to another new friend. The second letter we'll learn in this lesson might look like a pair of opposing legs. L. While it may look strange, L has a pretty familiar sound. L. Despite how it looks, it sounds exactly like the English L. Here's how to write the printed versions. These can be written in two ways. and the lowercase. In cursive, uppercase L is pretty easy to write, even though it looks quite different from the printed version. It's one stroke and we don't have to pick up our pen before connecting to the next letter. Now, the lowercase is where it gets interesting. When on its own, L looks the same as the uppercase, but smaller. But remember the Russian M. It has a hook on the left when it follows other letters. L is exactly the same, so it looks like this when it comes after another letter. Time to write it for yourself. And the lowercase. Okay, that's it for our new friends in this lesson. Now it's time to expand your Russian vocabulary. First up is a word that uses both of our new letters, and is very easy. Pronounced ili. This is a pretty common word that means or. So on или она means he or she. Writing it isn't too complicated either, so try writing this one with all lowercase letters. Или. Good! Next up is an incredibly important question that uses L. Try reading it aloud. Как дела? Как was our first word, and you must remember that it means how. Дела is kind of like things or activities, but when we use it here, it means how are things or how are you? Got it? Then try to write it. Remember to start with an uppercase letter. Как дела? Now it's time for Svetlana's insights. We've finished 8 lessons, and you already learned more than half of the Russian letters. Are you feeling more confident yet? If not, just look through a Russian text, a book, website, or whatever, and see how many letters you now recognize. It's fun when you start to recognize something that used to be incomprehensible. That's it for this lesson. Consider this. You're lost and don't know where to go. But you haven't learned how to say where in Russian yet. You'll learn how to say that, but more importantly, how to write it in the next Alphavit Made Easy lesson. Пока-пока!